Hello, rock and rollers! Welcome to the 44th ElectroJet Rock Show. We are doing great or not so great on the band from LA, Quiet Riot. My name is Jett. I'm your host, and I have my esteemed co-host coming to you from LA, the Professor. How's it going?
It's going good. Welcome back, rockers. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Support us on social media. We love you guys. Keep coming back. Keep coming back.
Yeah, man, I used to see Quiet Riot a lot in the day. They broke big in '83, I think it was. Had the big number one Mental Health album, number one on Billboard charts. I used to see them a long time before that, back in the old Starwood Hollywood days, infamous club called the Starwood. I saw Randy play in Quiet Riot probably about 6 to 10 times. I can't remember. But pretty much every time they came to play, we'd go at least one night and see one show. They used to do 2 shows a night there. So I watched Kevin DuBrow's vocals. He got better like every single gig. So by the time they got to 83 with the Mental Health, he's literally one of the greatest singers of rock and roll. And his buddies that he used to hang out prove it. He used to hang out with Glenn Hughes a lot, one of the greatest singers ever. So yeah, he has a ridiculous range. He's got a mouth like an alligator. What do you think, Professor?
Yeah, I'd agree with all that. You know, I saw one of those shows with Randy Rhoads at the Starwood. In fact, that was the first Hollywood club show that I went to. And I just thought Kevin DuBrow was a wild man. You know, just this skinny guy in striped clothes, running around screaming like a maniac. But, you know, like you said, he could really hit the notes. He hit some high notes, a lot of energy too, high energy guy, and great band leader, great front man. And then later, obviously, when they got Carlos Cavazo and, you know, Chuck Wright, Rudy Sarzo, those 2 albums that they had were just huge. I mean, they were getting so much airplay on the radio and MTV with Come On, Feel the Noise and Mental Health, Bang Your Head, Mama, We're All Crazy Now. It's just, we were just being flooded with that, you know, on the radio and on MTV. And they were great, you know, and they were huge at that time. It's hard to really remember exactly how big they were back then. But there was a period of maybe 2-3 years where they were just huge. Just enormous.
number one's number one. I mean, that's like, I think they knocked Michael Jackson Thriller off the top of the charts. So to say they're huge, yeah, that's a bit of almost even an understatement. But back in the day, they had Randy's childhood friend Kelly Garney on the bass. They had Drew Forsythe on the drums. And then they got Rudy in the band after that. And then on the Mental Health record, all the way up to 1983 or 84. I think it was 83 when that came out. That's mostly Chuck Wright on that album playing.
Yeah, that was 83.
Who I'm a big fan of. We'll do a whole thing on him. But yeah, we got to see him with Randy back in the day. And all the stuff with Randy on it you can get now and you can hear it. The songs are phenomenal. They were growing as musicians and songwriters. Randy was still, I mean, he was amazing back then. Got to see it up close. But the songs are great, like Killer Girls is a masterpiece. Laughing Gas is a masterpiece. Lie Back and Let Me In, Baby. Oh, they're cheeky, very politically incorrect. Kevin was the driver of the band. Rudy was a phenomenal bass player. Even back then, he was doing his play with the left hand over the fingerboard. He was really great. I saw Rudy, I think, maybe twice in the band. He got in the band at the very end. And then Randy, of course, went on to Ozzy. But Carlos Cavazo, we used to see him all the time in Snow. Remember that, Professor?
I do remember. I saw Snow at Devonshire Downs, the old Devonshire Downs, which was a huge, kind of like an outdoor arena that was attached to California State University Northridge in the San Fernando Valley. And yeah, he was great. He was a shredder also, and you know they were a high energy band. But I do remember.
Wait, let me interject something. It was a big tin shed. It wasn't outdoors. It was like
Yeah.
it was for agriculture. It was like for cattle and horses and stuff. Probably back in the day. It was for the
it was actually a horse race track.
Well, but the where we saw Snow play was
that
it
was
in the tin shed, and I think Jimi Hendrix even played in the tin shed one time before they did the Newport thing. But we're getting off the subject here. But yeah, Carlos Cavazo, he was always actually really great. Everybody was competing with Van Halen by the time Carlos got into the band and for the metal. Yeah, Frank Benali, part of his shtick was like, I don't know, I think he played it up a little bit, but he was like such a masher. His hi-hat clutch was always coming loose. So he'd have the hi-hat cymbals, that is. He'd have his drumstick in his mouth, one of them, while he was tightening up the hi-hat clutch a lot. I remember that about him, but yeah, phenomenal drummer. Frankie, rest in peace. What do you think, Professor?
Yeah, I have to agree with everything you said. Also, visually, they were a great, visual band. Some bands didn't really have that, but, they had a great stage presence, all of them did. And even when they would switch members, they did that pretty seamlessly. I think that, and even, replacing Randy Rhoads is tough, but Carlos was he was his own entity. And he was no Randy Rhoads, but at the same time, he was a good fit for the band. And again, during that era, they were just huge. You could hear them everywhere. They were constantly on the radio, constantly on MTV. And rightfully so. They were a good band, a lot of energy. And they weren't the smiley bubblegum kind of Bon Jovi, Poison, Warrant type band. They, Kevin DuBrow's smile was a little more crazy, and wild. So that's kind of why I like them. They were kind of representing more the wild craziness than the, pretty boy, side of the glam metal scene. So, yeah, I'd have to say Quiet Riot, great.
Yeah, I'm going to say great, of course, too. I got to put in one other thing about Kevin DuBrow. He had the distinction of getting kicked out of his own band, but I remember why that happened, because they had the number one record and it went right to his head, and next thing you know, in all the magazines, he's literally bashing Motley Crue, bashing Ratt, saying, just basically pissing off all the other big bands at the time. So that was the beginning of the downhill of them. Quiet Riot 3 has some cool tracks on it. I think Chuck Wright played bass on that one too. Chuck Wright, he's a phenomenal bass player. That one was produced by Spencer Proffer, and John Purdell got a credit on that. So that was like kind of his thing that led to him working with Motley Crue and all that. That kind of jump-started his career. I'm talking about the producer of Quiet Riot 3, John Purdell. He's on
that. Was like 1986 around there.
Yeah, that was 1986. I haven't really listened to the whole thing. It had a cool video on it, but the record kind of tanked, and I think it had to do with half of Kevin running his alligator mouth. But that's the way he was, and don't forget to like and subscribe. You want to say anything else, Professor?
I'm just kind of curious what Howard Cosell might think.
What's the problem? You want me to share a mic with Mr. Axel? I'll do anything just to get it to work, right? That works, yeah. This is Howard Cosell for American Contemporary Radio. Is it working now, Kelly? All right, let's go. Good Lord, let's go. Thank you. What? It still sounds bad? I thought you said it was working all right. Is it working all right or not? If not, I'll share a microphone with Mr. Axel. I have no more time. God damn it.
I wonder what John Wayne's doing right now.
To be a leader in Americana.
So this is Jett signing off with great or not so great. We both said great. So I'm signing off with
the Professor and
rock and roll.
Rock and roll.